What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, and to be perfectly honest, I'm filming this video in the middle of the night because randomly, Microsoft has just replied to a lot of the criticisms involving Halo Infinite. If you've been online a bunch, I'm sure you've noticed that a bunch of people are kind of mocking the graphics, the strange resolution, and just some of the technical aspects to Halo Infinite. And some people to a lesser extent are concerned with the gameplay, but I've been trying my best to look at it objectively and see the good and the bad. I am still planning on buying and playing Halo Infinite at launch, but certainly I have been nervous, especially because there have been those leaks that are going around that apparently there's quite a bit of troubled development going on over at 343 themselves. Well, tonight, for some reason, even though the sun has gone down long ago, they just released an official statement called Infinite Inquiries. So what we're going to do is read this and try to check out what's going on with the game, why it looks like that, and then I'm going to eat a nice fortune cookie to try and relax. Now here we go. In the past 2 weeks, we've unveiled Halo Infinite, launched Halo 3 and PC as part of the Halo Master Chief Collection, helped raise money for a good cause, released tons of Halo gear, and so much more. Since this is something pretty hefty community update, let's jump right in. Now, this is a huge thing. It actually goes through all sorts of different stuff involving even Halo esports, all sorts of stuff. I'm going to link the entire thing down below because I'm only interested in this major first part involving a lot of the criticisms of Halo Infinite, because to me, this is what I'm personally the most hyped about. For better or for worse, this is definitely what I'm involved in. So here we go. As promised in our last community update, our first look at Halo Infinite's campaign arrived last week in the form of a gameplay demo. During those precious 8 minutes that kicked off the Xbox Game Showcase, we were thrown into Halo Infinite's campaign, given a look at the relationship between Master Chief and the pilot, who seems like Bro Cortana, got a taste of the scale of our campaign experience, witnessed its first gameplay and combat loops, and we were introduced to the menacing War Chief Ascarium. If you happen to miss any of it, be sure to click that video up above, which again, since this article is leaked, since this article is linked, you can also see that. Answers to your questions. Shortly after the demo aired, I took to Twitter, scoured Reddit, and checked our forums for common questions that were popping up around the community. There were a lot of questions, and they'll get answered in time, but I wanted to start by tackling a few that were frequently asked. Questions about the graphics and visuals. First, we want to acknowledge that yes, we've heard the feedback coming from the parts of the community regarding the visuals in the Halo Infinite campaign demo. While we see and fear far more positive than negative, we do want to share a bit more context. From our perspective, there are two key areas being debated around the community: overall art style and visual fidelity. Now, I do want to just actually give them a humongous amount of credit. It seems like so many game developers and a lot of these PR teams, they won't even acknowledge negative feedback. Like, they're so laser focused on making sure that they're just talking about the games and trying to like push you into a pre-order. I kind of crazy respect the fact that they're coming out and saying, yes, some people are unhappy, maybe more information will kind of explain that away. So I have a philosophy, which is that gamers don't care about bad information, we just want good information. We don't want excuses, we don't want you trying to explain stuff. A lot of times we just want more information and proper information to fully understand the context. Now back to the article. Based on our leanings from based on our learnings from Halo 4, 5, and Halo Wars 2, along with strong community feedback, we've decided to shift back towards the legacy aesthetics that defined the original trilogy. Oh, that is a very strange way of putting it. With Halo Infinite, we're returning to a more classic art style, which has a key message going back to the very first reveal and garnered enthusiastic and positive responses. Now this, I don't like this. Something about the fact that they're trying to claim that this, like, Master Chief and these very bare bones, like, reflections and stuff, the fact that they're trying to refer to this as classic visuals instead of what they really are, which is basic visuals, that does feel like a little bit of misdirection. And I also will say, this feels like a weird, you used to like it kind of thing. Like when you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend and they're like, oh, you used to like me doing this annoying thing. This does feel like them trying to be like, oh, people used to think that this stuff was great. This translates to a more vibrant color palette, cleaner models, and objects with less noise, though it doesn't mean less detail. While we appreciate this may not be everyone's personal preference, we stand by this decision and are happy to see it resonating with so many fans around the world. So I guess to everybody who's been trying to claim, oh, that demo they showed is months old, so technically the graphics are going to get a huge upgrade. To all the Xbox defenders who have been claiming that this will actually look like 5 times better on the Xbox Series X because the demo was initially displayed on a PC, I think that we can kind of confirm now that that trailer, as bad as those graphics were, that is the finalized product. That is exactly what things are going to look like when the game drops here in like 2 months. The second theme being discussed involves the visual fidelity. Negative feedback in this area includes comments around characters and objects appearing flat, simplistic, plastic-like, lighting feeling dull and flat, and object pop-in. I'm so glad they're addressing this. This was my number one concern when it came to the graphics themselves. We've read your comments, we've seen the homemade examples of retouched content, and yes, we've heard the Digital Foundry assessments. In many ways, we're in agreement here. We do have work to do to address some of these areas and rise above. Yes, oh my, yes. That means, seriously, that means they're listening to the feedback. The biggest thing about this is that since they've said that this is going to be almost more of a games as a service project, the fact that they've now said basically that it is going to constantly be growing and evolving and being patched and being updated, this to me sounds like they're saying that they are admitting that stuff here could look better, could look more lifelike, could look honestly more fun, and they may be able to fix that in time. That does still kind of make me nervous about what the game's going to play and look and kind of, feel like at release, but I like the fact that they're already saying that there are some things that they could work on. With a variety of graphical elements and game systems still being finished and polished. While some of this feedback was expected and speaks to areas already in progress, other aspects of the feedback have brought new opportunities and considerations to light that the team is taking very seriously and working to assess. We don't have firm answers or outcomes to share yet, but the team is working as quickly as possible on plans to address some of that feedback around detail, clarity, and overall fidelity. I'll be honest, this makes me extremely happy. I think as soon as you admit that something is bad, I am much more forgiving of it. The fact that they're even saying this line here at the end, the team is committed to focusing on making sure we have a beautiful world for players to explore when we launch. Abso-freaking-lutely, yes, 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 yes. Oh my gosh, Microsoft, thank you for just saying, we noticed that it looks bad too. Now here is actually my biggest concern of the entire thing. What about a multiplayer beta or flighting? You guys know this. I'm obsessed with betas. I absolutely love demos. I think it's super fascinating to play a game before it actually costs money. I think it's incredibly important in the modern flow of gaming to be able to test $60 or $70 games before we're actually dropping money on them. The Xbox Game Showcase was only meant to focus on Halo Infinite's campaign, however, I can't blame you all for being curious about the multiplayer experience. As Chris Lee mentioned in his blog post, which accompanied the demo last week, our plans for large-scale flighting aren't where we originally intended, in large part due to the challenges of working from home. At this time, we're honestly not sure what is going to be possible in terms of flighting, but we still hope to have an opportunity for broader public hands-on before release. And yes, as we've previously stated, we're relying on flighting and continued feedback and community partnership well beyond launch as we grow. So this sounds like they're pretty much officially confirming that there won't be a beta test. There's not going to be a thing, or if they do it, it's probably going to be really tiny and maybe just a week before launch. I guess the worst part here is that they're trying to be like, our partnerships beyond launch. It sounds like they're probably going to have a Halo Insider program, so after the game releases, maybe there will be a way to test the next patches before they come out. That is a huge letdown to me. I'm going to skip this stuff. There is a lot of lore questions, but here's the thing. This again confirms they're basically not going to have that demo. The demo we watched, that 8 minutes, anybody who's trying to claim, oh, that was finished months ago. Well, if it was finished, nobody's playing it except Microsoft. When the game comes out, you'll be able to play this space and take out the banished aircrafts. Now, this final stuff here, these are the things right here that are actually the most curious to me, which are these two questions, which are things I was thinking myself, and then I'm going to give some final thoughts. Are there still kill barriers or return to battlefield zones in the campaign? Since we want to allow players to explore and get creative with their engagements, we've tried to reduce these as much as possible in Halo Infinite. There will always be some exceptions, but usually you can see it. You should be able to go there. Okay, so even though they are claiming this will be a big, giant, huge, awesome, open world Halo game, there are still going to be basically invisible walls. There's going to be times where you're walking somewhere and it might kill you. Now, we're going to see how big that actually is in the final game. The fact that they're already talking about that officially feels like they're trying to warn us of some of the things that may be happening here, but it doesn't exactly get me hyped realizing that there will be those like out of bounds things in the finalized product. Now, the other thing is about split screen and co-op. They have finally confirmed the fact that there is going to be 2-player couch co-op and 4-player online co-op. Now that's great, mostly, not only with campaign, I do like being able to do couch co-op when it comes to just online multiplayer and shooting a bunch of Covenants. There is a lot to digest here, but here's where I'm at mentally. The more we hear about Halo Infinite, the more I'm kind of concerned for it. Not that the game itself will be bad, not that I think that the developers are lazy, it more comes down to the fact that I'm kind of skeptical how much content we're really going to be getting in launch. I'm kind of just thinking now, as they're already trying to rush these finalized patches, the fact that they're finally showing us gameplay literally like, 150 days, 200 days before launch. I mean, it still feels like something is very, very wrong here. And as we go into this game, with the messaging we have seen so far, I'm a little bit worried that we're only going to have an extremely bare bones experience at launch. Maybe a couple maps for multiplayer, maybe like 3 stages for deathmatch, 2 stages for capture the flag, a couple things for free-for-all, and then the single-player campaign. I think that Microsoft has realized that they are able, because of the magic of Game Pass, they are able to just throw a game out that's like, 80% done and then finalize it in time. And in this age, especially with how bored people are in 2020, maybe they'll get away with it. But to me, as a hardcore gamer who's constantly trying to jump on to the next big game and master the next version of something, I mean, I don't like the idea of release it now, finish it later. No matter how much you manage to polish something, no matter how much you manage to create a giant free update or free downloadable content, to me, once a game comes out, it needs to be either good, great, or at least half decent, or it's going to be forgotten. Well, these have just been my off-the-cuff thoughts. What do you think? Have you had a chance to read this article for yourself? Again, it is linked down below, but if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already, but do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. Alright, it's time to finally look at this fortune cookie. Let's see here. Let's see if I have some good luck. I got... A smile is the most effective medicine. I don't know why, but that's a really weird thing to say when hundreds of thousands of people are dying of a disease. But hey, a smile is the most effective medicine is absolutely not true. Here, can I put that up to the camera so it'll actually... You're not going to be able to read it. I tried my best. I apologize. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.